All right, let's talk about a book that really shook things up for a lot of people. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The whole thing is basically about his childhood, where he had two dads. Yep, two. And they taught him completely opposite things about money. It forced him to pick a side, to choose a path that went against, well, pretty much everything his own highly educated father believed.
And this is really the core of it right here. You've got these two totally opposing mindsets. On one hand, there's his actual father, who he calls his poor dad. This was a smart guy, a government employee, but he was kind of suspicious of money. He believed in job security above all else. Then you have his rich dad, who was his best friend's father. He was an entrepreneur who saw money as, well, as a tool. These two ways of thinking couldn't be more different, and they really set the stage for everything he learned. So what did that actually look like? Well, poor dad's advice is probably something you've heard a million times. Study hard, get good grades, find a safe job. And for him, your house was your biggest asset, your greatest investment. Rich dad? His advice was pretty much the exact opposite. He'd say school is designed to make you a good employee, not a rich owner. He was all about learning how money really works, about acquiring things that make you money, assets. And here's the real kicker. He said your house isn't an asset, it's a liability.
Okay, so let's jump into the very first and maybe the most important lesson from Rich Dad. This one is a total 180 from what most of us are taught about having a job.
So, this whole lesson came from a real-life experience. When Kiyosaki was just 9 years old, he started working for Rich Dad for a measly 10 cents an hour. I mean, can you imagine? After a few weeks of this, he was totally fed up. He marched in, ready to demand a raise or just quit. But instead, Rich Dad gives him this wild offer. You can have a raise, or you can work for me for free, and I'll teach you how to get rich. And yep, he chose to work for free.
So, what was the lesson? Rich Dad said that most people's lives are run by two emotions, fear and desire. The fear of not having money makes you get a job. Then, the desire for all the nice things money can buy keeps you chasing that bigger paycheck. It's like you're a donkey chasing a carrot on a stick. You're always working, but you never actually get ahead. You just get up, go to work, pay bills, and repeat. That's the trap he wanted them to see.
And by working for nothing, his brain was forced to switch gears. Instead of thinking about that tiny paycheck, he started looking for opportunities. And he found one. He noticed the local store was just tossing out old comic books. So he went to the distributor and asked if he could have them. The guy said sure, as long as you don't sell them. So what did they do? He and his friend Mike opened up a comic book library in a spare room, and they charged other kids 10 cents to come in and read as much as they wanted.
And this is where it all clicks. This little library of theirs started making $9.50 a week, which was way more than his 30 cents an hour from his old job. And here's the magic part. It was making money even when they weren't there. See, they hadn't just found a job. They had created a system, an asset, that was working for them. Their money was now making them more money.
So that comic book business wasn't just about comics, you know? It was the foundation for a really simple but super powerful way of looking at money. The next big piece of the puzzle is all about understanding where your money actually goes.
And this is what Rich Dad called the rat race. We've all heard the term, right? It's that endless cycle of working for a paycheck just to pay off taxes, a mortgage, car payments, credit cards, and what happens when you get a raise. Usually, your spending just goes up with it, and you're stuck on that hamster wheel for your whole life.
When you really think about it, who are you actually working for? First, you work to make your company and its owners rich. Then, the government takes its cut with taxes, right off the top. After that, you're working to pay the bank for your house and your debts. In that whole chain, you're the one who gets paid last from your own hard work.
So how do you get out of this race? Well, it starts with understanding two words. And Rich Dad's definitions are as simple as it gets. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket, period.
And a liability? Yep, you got it. It's anything that takes money out of your pocket. It's not about complex accounting. It's just about which way the cash is flowing.
And this simple idea explains everything about how different people handle money. The poor, well, their income gets eaten up by expenses. The middle class, they use their income to buy liabilities that they think are assets, like a bigger house or a newer car. But those things just take more money out of their pocket every month. The rich, they do it differently. They use their income to buy real assets, things like stocks, businesses, or rental properties. And those assets generate more income, which they then use to buy even more assets. It's a powerful upward spiral.
So to build on that whole framework, Rich Dad created this tool he calls the cash flow quadrant. It's a really simple way to figure out where your money is coming from.
It's literally just a box divided into 4 squares, E, S, B, and I. And which square you're in all depends on how you get paid.
So, E is for employee. You have a job. S is for self-employed or a small business owner. You basically own a job. If you're on this left side of the quadrant, you're trading your time for money. Now on the right side, you have B for a big business owner. Here you own a system and other people work for you. And finally, I is for investor. Your money works for you. According to Rich Dad, real financial freedom is found over on the right side.
Okay, so if we put all this together, understanding assets, the quadrant, it leads us right to the third huge lesson from the book. And this one is a straight-up call to action. Mind your own business.
Now this is a big one, because most people get it twisted. Rich Dad always said that people confuse their profession with their business. Your profession is just what you do to earn a paycheck and pay the bills. But your business is that asset column we talked about. Minding your own business means you focus on building that column, not just trying to climb the ladder at your job.
So what are these real assets? Well, think about things like businesses that can run without you having to be there every day. Stocks, bonds, real estate that actually makes you money each month, or even things like royalties from a book or a patent. The whole idea is to build a strong portfolio of these things that are out there constantly working for you.
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? If you only focus on your profession, you're spending your entire life building up someone else's asset, your boss's company. When you start to mind your own business, you finally start building your own.
So in the end, the real message of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is all about choice. It's about getting financially smart so you can start to see the opportunities that are all around you, the ones most people miss, and the book leaves you with this really powerful idea. Every single time a dollar lands in your hand, you get to choose your future. You can choose to be poor by just spending it, you can choose to be middle class by buying liabilities, or you can choose to be rich by using it to buy an asset. So the question is, what future are you choosing?